Hey everybody, it's Shug. You may be at the stage where you're ready to launch a podcast and you are asking yourself, Shug, where do I start? You start at Anchor. Why? First of all, it's free. Secondly, you have to have little experience. They have all of these creation tools, I'm telling you, where you can record and you can edit. Because before this, I had no experience. So head on over to Anchor. Be well, stay healthy. Peace. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Authentically SUG, episode number 4. I am your host, you guessed it, SUG. I am recording this on Christmas Eve, and this is a story. Yet, no doubt, this is no Christmas story. You know, we all like a good story. What is your preference? Murder, crime, thriller, sex, what? Well, my story has a little bit of all of that, minus the murder. And it takes place in 1979 at the age of 15 years old. So, as I tell my story, I want you to sit back and remember yours. What about that event, that person, or that situation that changed your life, either for the better or for the worse? That person, that situation, that event that changed your life forever. Well, mine changed at the age of 15 in the year 1979. So you ready? Okay. So here's the scene. My girlfriend's name was Kay, and I were getting ready for a high school dance. Yes, I said I was 15. Okay, but still go with me. It happened to be the senior high school dance at her school, Dunbar High School. I just want to put a pin in it because honestly, I am unsure where I even met Kay, where she came from. Yet, she played a pivotal role in my life, particularly at this time. And in about a year, she was gone. So back to the story. So Kay and I were preparing for the senior high school dance at our high school, which was Dunbar. I attended Western High School, which was a high school for all girls high achievers. You would think sometimes later on that I learned nothing. Yet I attended Western High School for high achievers, and we were attending this high school dance, okay? So we were listening to music, no doubt, because I loved music. Probably back then, you would probably find us listening to jams like La Freak by Chic or Reunited by Peaches and Herb. Or what about MacArthur Park by Donna Summers? Whatever the case may be, I'm sure we were listening to something to prepare ourselves for the dance. And as I already said, Kay attended a different school. So, there we go. On to the dance. And it was held at a little dive, a venue, a club, I guess, on Ricerstown Road in Baltimore, Maryland. I would probably be able to pinpoint that place to this day because, like I said, it was a place that my story began. So we go in, and 9 out of 10 times, as soon as I heard that ba-bum, ba-bum, the first beat of anything, I was on the floor. I'm almost sure of it. I can guarantee because later on in life, maybe not as later, I was referred to as PA. That's just P-A, and it stands for Party Animal. I could dance like nobody's business. And even before this event, I was a Giovanni dancer. Yes, it was a club in Baltimore. I'm going off a little off point, yet it all relates to the story and how you know that I began this love of dancing that went even as a young child. However, I was a Giovanni dancer at this teen club in Baltimore. And so my love of dancing just continued. So we're in the club. at the high school dance, and the music's going, and I'm sure I probably danced out of my shoes because that's how much I loved it. No doubt I was oblivious to everybody that was in the room. Yet maybe I was intentional about being oblivious. What do I mean by that? You know, ladies, okay, you're on the dance floor and you're just kind of scoping the room around, looking at who's looking at you, looking at you. Okay, that kind of thing. So even though I was unintentionally eyeing any particular person, I was aware that I was drawing some attention. Yet I was in my groove thing. And so the night went on, and as I said, I was just doing my thing. And back then, as you know, your girlfriends would just dance with each other, no big deal. Everybody was just on the floor having a good time. So the dance was over. Whew. No doubt, I'm sure I had to put my shoes on, my sore feet by this time, and wait for Kay's mother. I'm unsure if my parents even knew I was at the dance. Well, you know, something is said about good girls, quote, that go to all girls schools. But yeah, I was a little sneaky. Yeah, okay, so the dance is over. Here we go into the parking lot, waiting for Kay's mother to pick us up. I'm probably wiping sweat off my brow, you know, composing myself. And I happened to look across the parking lot. Now, you know, it was a dimly lit parking lot. And I happened to notice a silhouette that stood above everyone else. Seems like they stood at least 6 foot tall. And even as the party goers were coming out of the venue, everything seemed to stand in place. And all I could see was him. And I believe all he could see was me. It was as if we were in a movie scene. Time literally stood still. I'm unsure who approached who first. I just know that we appeared at the same place at the same time, and our eyes locked, and I'm unable to say if it was love at first sight, but surely I can say it was infatuation at first sight. As I got a good glimpse of him, I realized how unique he was. He was dressed straight out of GQ magazine. Yes, even at 15 years old, I knew something about style. And I knew he was different. And this is what he had on. Eyes still closed? Okay. A blue and white seersucker blazer. A pale pink button down starched designer shirt. A tie with a swirl print on it. Green chinos and two-tone Oxfords. I'm just going to let you take that picture in. Let me repeat, slower this time. A blue and white seersucker blazer. Pale pink button down collared designer shirt starched to the gilt. A tie with a swirl print. I believe it had purple in it, although I am unable to remember. I just remember a swirl print. Green chinos with your pants and two-tone Oxfords. They were brown and a beige. Ha! You may say to yourself, that sounds jacked up, yet on him, it was a work of art. It was as if Picasso had painted the outfit especially for him. It was like he was the Michael Lisa. His name was Michael. His charisma was more undeniable than his attractiveness. And he just stood at 6'2", as I later learned, and he demanded attention, if nothing more than because of the way he was dressed. So unique. Yet he was so secure in himself that he didn't give a damn what anybody thought. So here we are in this dimly lit parking lot in 1979 after the Dunbar High School senior dance, and our futures were locked in that moment. There was no way to tell what our lives would become. There was no way to tell what would happen in the next couple of days and months. There was no way to tell. And honestly, it didn't matter because at that moment, it was just he and I. He was 19. Yes, I already said I was 15, yet I'm telling you straight up, I lied because I figured if he knew I was 15, he would leave me alone. And even at that moment, it was as if he left me now, what would I do? I'm unsure if your story involves those magnetic moments of romance, or I call it infatuation, where you are just undeniably so entrenched in this person's life who you have never met. And you just figured you have got to be with them. Well, that was the feeling that I had. And I'm telling you, it was a whirlwind from that day. So, like I said, I told him I was probably 17 and he was 19. And that lie would come to haunt us very soon because, I mean, come on now, that's statutory. I was underage. Yet it didn't matter. In the days to come, I'm sure he picked me up. And then when he picked me up, let me tell you, he had a navy blue Firebird with white leather interior. When he would pick me up at that all-girls school for high achievers, I got in that car not only feeling smart, but badass. And off we went. And I'm telling you, as I already said, it was like shroom. From that very first moment we met in that dimly lit parking lot after the high school dance. And so, because of that lie, that one lie, well, there were many. I just wonder now if I had in fact told him that I was in fact 15, if it had changed anything. I'm unsure because that moment was so solidified that I'm unsure anything would have mattered. And I wish it would have mattered more. Yet, even the fallout that came from that, even the hurt that came out of that I will tell in future episodes, it is that moment. He was that person. It was that event that framed my life, that changed the trajectory of my life, because previous to that, I was a sneaky 15-year-old girl hanging out at Mondawmin Mall with my girlfriends eating pizza. Yet that was the extent of it. Well, I already said that I was a sneaky Giovanni dancer. Yet as far as like these love interests, he was my first, and maybe that's why he was so different. I remember telling my grandmother that he was the most unique person I'd ever met in my life. And to this day, I believe that, even through the hurt, even through the pain, even through the sorrow, even through the fact that soon after we met, within 6 years, I was a mother, wife, and a widow. Didn't matter. So that is my story that started at the age of 15 in 1979. What is your story? What is that event? What is that person? Who is that person? What is that situation that changed you either for the better or for the worse? And even if it was for the worst, did you change that for the better? I only share my stories because as a way, as I've said, to help you live life unapologetically of the past. All of us have allowed situations, events, people in our lives that we knew at the time we met them that we should go the other way, yet we indulged in it. And we've had to live with the consequences. Yet we can still live life unapologetically of the past. And what that means is that you take stock of it, you recognize it, and you forgive yourself for it. And you know that you can and that you will move on from it. So what if your story mirrored mine, that you met a guy in the parking lot, in the laundromat, in the club, and wherever, and it started with a lie. And from that lie, it just went downhill hill. And because of the lie, you had to suffer consequences. Yet, you make the best of it. And that's what I did. And the fallout was great. Yet here I am. I'm here to tell my story today, almost 40 years later. And as a result of that union on that night in 1979, so much good has come of that. I am who I am because of that. Even through the pain, he taught me so much about life, about strength, about owning who you are. Because I'm telling you what, he owned who he was. His name was Michael. And so that's my story. Thank you so much for joining me. And as I always hope when you join me, that your time with me is well spent. Continue to join me as I continue this journey, as I continue to share my life experiences, as the ultimate goal is to help you live life unapologetically of the past. And I hope that this will be interactive. If you have comments, you have a story that you'd like to share, hit me up. And you already know it. Until the next time, be well, stay healthy, Merry Christmas, peace.